Hi, my name is Siobhan and I'm going to be talking about my ectopic pregnancy signs and symptoms and everything about it. I'm going to try and keep the video as, much to the point as possible. I do get easily distracted and I do kind of like waffle on without meaning to. So I'll try my best to keep it short and sweet but also detailed. So a little disclaimer that obviously I wasn't aware I was having an ectopic pregnancy as soon as I found out I was pregnant. So I was spotting for like 6 days up until the 8th of December, just gone. And I had cramping with that as well. And then I lightly bled for 4 days, which it was heavier than spotting, but lighter than like a period. So basically, bleeding for like 10 days with cramping throughout. And then I basically did a random pregnancy test on Saturday the 13th of December and it was positive, and I was like in complete shock and horror because obviously I was bleeding for like 10 days straight and I wasn't expecting to be pregnant. This was my first ever pregnancy, and yes, me and my partner have been trying to have a baby for the last 4 months, but because I kept having periods every month and then I had this bleeding for 10 days, I never thought I was pregnant or anything. Like, I had no other signs or symptoms up until this point. I was just randomly bleeding for like 10 days. So obviously, as it was on a weekend, we wanted to have an ultrasound. So the doctors are closed, obviously. So we went to A&E on the Saturday. Was there like 4 hours. They made me do a pregnancy test again. I told the nurse that I saw about my symptoms of spotting for 6 days and bleeding for 4 days. I was kind of like a bit like, I don't feel like this is normal. I mean, I don't know what's normal because I've never been pregnant before, but in my gut I was like, something's not right, something's not going on like correctly or whatever. And the nurse just passed it off as implantation bleeding, but I was like, yeah, but I don't like the cramping and stuff, like it just didn't seem normal to me. So they basically sent me over to the maternity ward after doing a positive pregnancy test. We were like both really excited because obviously we've been trying for 4 months to have a baby and it was like the best day of our lives. They sent me to the maternity ward, and then I had a blood test done and a vaginal check done. And as far as I was aware, they basically just said, we'll book you in for an ultrasound on the nearest Monday coming. So we basically went home, everything was fine. So on Saturday night, everything took a turn for the worse. And obviously my tube had ruptured, but I didn't know this at the time. So at like 7-8 p.m, I developed really, really severe stomach pain. Like, if you're an IBS sufferer, it's like the cramps you get with that, but this was like way, way, way worse. I can't actually describe this feeling. My stomach felt all like tight and like bloated and like puffed up, so to speak, because of the pain I was in. I can't remember if I took pain relief or not that night. I think I did have an IBS session as well, which is also another symptom, I think. And basically throughout the night from like 7-8 p.m. onwards, I kept getting like real faint, dizzy, weak. I am pale anyway, but I was like 10 times more pale than this. I kept getting hot flushes. I just kept like going to the toilet as normal, and whilst going to the toilet I kept going unconscious. Like, I was at the sink 1 minute washing my hands, and then the next minute I had fallen down between like my shower cubicle and the toilet, and I was laying facing up to like I just woke up to my partner pulling me up, and I was like, what the hell, why am I like laying on the floor? So that kept happening, and I kept going unconscious more and more. I kept going to sleep, as I said, trying to, because I like weren't really sure what's going on. I also developed shoulder tip pain as well, which is a classic symptom of a rupture. The severe cramps is a pain of a rupture, and then going unconscious is also severe rupture. But obviously at the time we weren't sure what was really going on and our heads weren't in the correct space. So we called 111 at 2:55 a.m. I described all my symptoms that I've just mentioned. And then they said they'd call us back. And it ended up taking an hour for them to call us back when I'm in this critical condition. And I feel like at the time, they didn't see my case as really, really urgent, like I needed to be urgently rushed off to A&E. But that was actually the case. I needed to be urgently rushed off to A&E. This is like a life critical stage where you're like, when you're rupturing and bleeding out, basically. So they called us back at 4:03 a.m. and then we spoke to that person, said all the same stuff, and then they basically said they don't know how long the ambulance will take to get to me, so I have to make my own arrangements. So then I had to call up family members and wake them up at like fucking 4 in the morning, and then luckily my stepdad was able to take me. By the time I got to A&E, it was 5 a.m. I just feel like, looking back, they should have sent out an ambulance, and I feel like that 111 advisor and then the next person we spoke to after that should have seen this as a real urgent matter. But I feel like at the time, it wasn't seen as an urgent matter. And I feel like when I first got to A&E as well, it wasn't seen as an urgent matter, even though I was going unconscious so much that I had barely any phases of staying awake. Like, it was crazy. So when I got to A&E, they kept trying to take blood from me, and I kept going unconscious, and basically they wanted me to lay down in a bed, which was the most painful thing ever because I had to be pushed around in a wheelchair. As the pain was so severe, I found it easier sitting up than laying down. Laying down was like the worst pain, and then the shoulder tip pain was like really, really bad when you're laying down. But I basically had to lay down, and then I was just going in and out of an unconscious state in the hospital bed for like 5 hours, and then I basically had surgery at 10 a.m. that Sunday on the 14th of December. I feel like the staff weren't really sure what was going on or anything. I felt like they didn't see it as an urgent matter again. But yeah, basically I had to have keyhole surgery on Sunday. They ended up removing my right fallopian tube. It had ruptured, and they removed our baby from there as well. I also had a cyst on my ovary, but I think they said it burst, and they left one ovary not attached to anything in me, and then the other tube and ovary is still in there. I had blood going into my stomach and liver, which was what my severe cramps was about, and the shoulder tip pain, that's what that was about. I basically ended up losing 2 to 3 litres of my own blood, and that is why they couldn't get blood from me when I first came in. Also, I did a little Google, because I'm a bit of a nerd, and apparently women only have 4.5 litres of blood in them. So if I lost 3 litres of blood, and there's only 4.5 litres of blood in a woman, I was barely surviving at this point. Do you get what I mean? Like, the fact that I'm here is a blimmin' miracle. And basically, yeah, I had surgery. I was in there for like 2-3 hours, I think, possibly. And then I was in the recovery room for 6 hours. They gave me multiple blood transfusions. But they did tell me I'm very, very lucky to be alive. Which was the craziest thing. I won't lie, like before surgery I had to sign consent forms and they did tell me that I could possibly die, but what was scariest for me is the fact that none of my family or friends knew me and Tim were even trying for a baby. We just wanted to tell everyone at our 12-week scan if we ever did become pregnant. The fact that we found out we were pregnant one day and then had it all taken away the next day is been like a really traumatic thing to deal with, and mentally, like, it's been really hard to deal with it. But you can imagine if your family and friends don't even know you're pregnant, and then you're basically being told you could potentially die having surgery, and then you're rushed off to surgery. I couldn't even say goodbye to any of my family and friends. I could barely say goodbye to my partner. I just had to give him a quick kiss because I had to be rushed off. And that was it. And then I literally didn't know if I was actually going to wake up again or not. And that's not me being dramatic. It's very serious, and it's very, like, scary what I went through, and I'm just really, really grateful that I woke up. This video isn't for pity or sympathy. I just wanted to spread some awareness about ectopic pregnancies, signs and symptoms, because I had no idea what was happening at the time. I think it's good if you're trying for a baby to look up miscarriage symptoms and signs and ectopic symptoms and signs. Sometimes with ectopics, you don't get any symptoms until the point of a rupture, which was basically what happened to me. So that's what's scary about ectopics, is that you could be like 8 weeks pregnant and you have no idea. It's very, very scary. But I just wanted to make this video to help at least one person, and that is literally why I'm talking about it. It's not like I don't enjoy talking about it and I'm trying to like hold myself together talking about it, but I want to help someone in some way so no one has the same scary experience that I did. And I want to thank the surgeons and the NHS aftercare team. They did an amazing job with me. I have literally no complaints. Like, they literally saved my life, and I'm forever grateful and indebted to them that they actually saved my life. I'm actually in shock that I'm actually still here today. It's actually so crazy that I nearly died in December, and I just feel like the only complaints I do have is the 111 advisor I spoke to, and the fact that they weren't going to send an ambulance to me. Well, they said that they couldn't clarify a time, so I could have been waiting there for hours. That I just feel like that particular team of people didn't see the urgency of our call, which was bad. But everyone that dealt with us since my surgery and during surgery, they were amazing, and I just can't thank them enough. If anyone has any questions, drop them in the comments and I will happily answer it. And I'm sorry if anyone else out there is going through this or they're about to go through this. I'm always here, my inbox is always open, and I'll try and give as much advice as I can about it. I can only talk about my own experience. Every experience is different for everyone. I was basically in hospital a few days, and then I got discharged, and then I've been at home, just on the mend. I hope that my video wasn't too long, and I'm sorry for rambling on. I tried to keep it as short and sweet as I could, but there was a lot to discuss, so hopefully my video has helped someone. I might do other future videos talking about ectopics, or if you want a video about a specific topic, then suggest it in the comments and then I can try and talk about it and answer it, obviously based on my own experiences and stuff.